Hey everyone, very warm welcome to this video. So today I have Adam and Sentry from Quaderno. Now Quaderno is a software that helps people organize their taxes across Europe and also across America. Now there's some really awesome features with their software. And today really in this interview, I just wanted to talk to them about different aspects of your tax obligations as you're selling across the European marketplace. We might touch on the changes that are happening with Brexit in the coming months. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about US sales tax and things. And these guys help Amazon sellers and other business owners organize all their taxes. So I thought this would be a really exciting opportunity just to touch on some of these topics, because it can be intimidating, when you're getting your business moving, making sure that you have all of your taxes and everything in place, especially if you're selling across multiple marketplaces. So Adam, Sentry, thanks so much for joining me today. Adam, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having us on, inviting us on, and we're excited to share what we have with all these awesome new entrepreneurs that you're serving.
Perfect. And Sentry, how are things?
Yeah, everything's great. Quaderno is based in Las Palmas, so I'm based in the Canary Islands, and everything great.
I'm so jealous. I'm living in Sweden.
The sun shining in behind her.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. I went to Tenerife a couple of years ago, and it's really fun, that place. It would be a nice place to live. So cool. Okay. Well, I thought it'd be interesting to start off with how you guys built the company. All right. So I'm curious, like, what motivated you to want to actually build a tool that helps people with their taxes? Because as we all know, taxes is not exactly the sexiest of all topics on the planet. So what was it that drove you to want to, get into this field and help people with that area?
Yeah. So just like we're entrepreneurs, just like you and many of your audience, Ollie. And so, like all entrepreneurs who sell things online, we face a real problem, and that problem is, how can you keep up with all of these crazy consumption tax laws around the world, whether it be EU VAT, GST, and many other places around the world, US sales tax, so many different things that you have to keep in mind to keep up with. And it seems really impossible to grow your business and comply with all these laws at the same time. It's like a full-time job, right? And, we're savvy entrepreneurs. We want, we want to give our business the attention it deserves, and, leave that other stuff up to someone else. So about a decade ago, our founder, Carlos, he found himself in a similar problem. He was developing web applications and mobile applications, software and things like this. And he worked really hard to create awesome products and stay on top of each aspect of the business. But business goes much beyond just the products that we sell, serving our clients well, driving new sales. There's lots of other admin things and things behind the scenes that you have to keep up with. As I just mentioned, consumption tax is a big one of those things. And so he and his business partners created Quaderno, or the very foundations of Quaderno, out of their own need to handle compliance with sales tax regulations worldwide. And so that's how this was born, is just meeting our own need. And then obviously that niche developed as, over the last decade, online selling, e-commerce, and things like that have developed. The market has expanded, and we've been able to fill this need and help people, just like we were able to help ourselves in the beginning.
So cool. So it was a problem that he experienced as he was growing his business, and he realized he could help solve it. So that's really interesting. All right, then. So let's say you're a seller, right? Like many people watching this, you're selling a bit of stuff on Amazon UK, and you see the opportunity of expanding to Europe, and you know that you could potentially 5, 6, 7 times your sales if you offer products in France, Italy, Spain, all the marketplaces. what would be maybe a first few steps to take to prepare so that you can meet all of your tax obligations in all the different marketplaces?
Yeah, so this is a common question that we get a lot too. And the first thing that we do recommend is working with a tax accountant to understand exactly where your inventory is. And if you have inventory in Europe, and checking with those and the tax agencies in those countries to see if you may have tax obligations there, if you need to register. I think we mentioned before, we're not tax accountants, so we can't provide specific advice, but in terms of getting started, yeah, you definitely want to check where your inventory is in the EU and go from there.
So that's the main things, right? See where it's located and seeing, which fulfillment centers the products are stored in. So what would be some of the biggest problems that Amazon sellers face then when it comes to taxes and things like that?
Yeah, so, well, just starting with what Amazon does and what it doesn't do, right? So when you think about consumption tax, if you're selling in the US, for example, they will help you out with they will collect sales tax and help you with some of those things, even though they charge you a nice fee to do that. However, in the rest of the world, Amazon does not collect tax, and so all of your prices must be tax inclusive, meaning that you need to pay out of, keep track of that and end up paying out of your profits. So in a nutshell, Quaderno really is a plugin that integrates seamlessly with Amazon to cover in your tax processes what Amazon is not able to cover, and really help you close that gap and make taxes much, much easier for you. And beyond that, as e-commerce sellers, we know that maybe you're not selling just on Amazon. There's other marketplaces out there where you might be selling. Shopify, WooCommerce, for example. You may be selling through other payment platforms like PayPal or Stripe, and it's actually difficult to keep track of all your sales and different tax obligations that you may have from those different platforms. But Quaderno actually helps you combine all of it in once and integrate with your entire stack. So you can put all your sales data and tax information in one place. And this alone can save you so many hours and amount of time keeping up with those sorts of things.
That makes sense. Yeah, it can get confusing, especially when you have stuff selling in all different marketplaces. And so, number one thing is to get an accountant who understands this stuff, because, as you guys mentioned, you're not accountants, right? You don't, anything we talk about now is general advice, but you shouldn't see it as tax advice. So having an accountant, number one, essential, right? As soon as you start to make any decent money with Amazon, you need one anyway. So it really helps if they understand, distance selling, things like that, and all the different responsibilities with VAT and everything. So that's number one. And then number two is having a way to organize everything that's going on and track where the sales are being made. So this is where you guys can come in. So what I'd love to do is hear about maybe an example of a company who you guys have worked with that maybe, having trouble with some of their tax obligations, and maybe just explain what they did to get out of that trouble and maybe how you guys helped.
Yeah, for sure. So one company that we have been working with for a couple of years, who reached out recently and was just super enthusiastic about how much Quaderno has changed their business processes and helped them so much. The company, it's called Spikeball. Many of you might be familiar with that company. They sell physical goods. It's actually a game that they sell, and it's exploded over the last several years across the world. But they reached out to this and they just said, hey, look, in the past, or just for a little bit of context as well, they're an e-commerce company and they sell on multiple different platforms, but Amazon is a big platform on which they sell. And they said, we found ourselves putting in tons of hours manually creating tax compliant invoices for their customers. And these invoices obviously have to be compliant depending on where their customer is in the world, could be in different languages, with different information, all the different things that they need on them. And it was just creating tons of busy work for them. And so they were, they came across Quaderno. They said, hey, it looks really professional. It had all the features that they were needing. It also gives lots of flexibility when it comes to billing. And they implemented it into their systems, into their processes. And they said that they've stopped having to create hundreds of invoices daily, which has made their customers happier, obviously, and saved them lots of time. And they've been able to actually dedicate more time that they were wasting on these tedious tax compliance tasks, and spend that time on higher yield projects, focused on improving their customer experience in other areas and things like that. And so they just said, hey, we would definitely recommend Quaderno for any e-commerce business. It's a no-brainer for any e-commerce business that's trying to scale in e-commerce, especially if you're selling in multiple countries.
So are they a US-based company then? They're selling mainly in the US, or what platforms did they sell on?
Yeah, so they're a US-based company that sells worldwide. Yeah, they sell all over the place. They sell on Amazon. They sell on their own website, on other e-commerce platforms as well. But I know Amazon is one of the big platforms that they sell on.
So did they have to register? I don't know if you know how much of their business you're familiar with, but did they have to register for VAT separately in all the different EU countries?
Century, you want to sort of explain how that would work for an American e-commerce seller?
Yeah, I can give I don't know the specifics of the example that Adam just gave, but in general, if a business has, inventory in an EU country and is using a fulfillment center in an EU country, generally then they would be expected to register for VAT in that country. In the US too, it kind of depends on the fulfillment centers that they're using and the economic nexus thresholds as well. So if they sell a certain amount to a certain state, then that would affect which states they would have to register in initially.
That makes sense. Right. So if you have your stock based in the UK, right, and it's in the fulfillment center in the UK, and let's say you make a sale from a customer in Germany and the product ships from the UK to the customer in Germany, do you guys know where the VAT should be registered and collected?
Yeah, so Quaderno on a sale, and that example, it would generally just be like the 20% VAT, the UK VAT, and then Quaderno would actually track your sales to Germany and notify you if you reach the distance selling threshold in Germany, which would then trigger a possible obligation to register for VAT in Germany. So within a Quaderno account, you'll be able to see all of those thresholds, and you'll see a sale like that initially as collecting domestic VAT.
So would you say that an easier way for people who are selling in the UK to be able to expand to Europe, first of all, is just to keep all their stock in the UK and just use the distance selling?
To start out this year and up until the end of this year, that is one option. But then post Brexit, things are definitely going to change, and there's information about this on Amazon Seller Central. They have all the information about Brexit and any changes that are coming in terms of where inventory can be shipped from and sent to. So in terms of if you're using pan-European FBA, then a seller may consider having inventory in the EU specifically.
Seeing as we mentioned Brexit briefly, obviously there's quite a few changes happening to the pan EU FBA program next year once Brexit kicks in. So could you give us maybe a few bullet points of what changes are going to happen, how we're going to have to use the pan-European FBA differently as UK sellers?
Yeah, so as the UK is no longer going to form part of the EU, then one of the things that's going to happen is generally that sales aren't going to be able to be fulfilled across the border. So one of the things to keep in mind is to have, like I mentioned before, is just to maybe check if the inventory needs to be kept in the EU, or and then if any registration needs to happen in one of those countries. So whether you may need to register in a country if you're plan on having inventory there, and the same with shipping from the EU to the UK. So that's going to change as well.
So potentially, as I understand it, UK is not going to be part of the pan EU. So will we have to import stuff? Let's say we're importing stuff from China. Will we have to import stuff from, say, China to maybe Germany instead of the UK to be able to have it hosted in that warehouse?
As far as I know, that is an option to have if your customer base is going to be in the EU, and then on those sales, Quaderno would detect. Quaderno is able to detect to the fulfillment center where something's shipped from. So if you do ship the products to Germany, for example, and then send them from a warehouse in Germany, Quaderno would be able to detect that as well to apply the correct tax rate. But in terms of where exactly one should ship the items first, I think that's up to you and the business owner.
Makes sense. I mean, is there going to be so with Amazon taking EU out of the pan-European, does that mean you can't send products from UK to European marketplaces anymore, like from fulfillment center to fulfillment center? Is that the way it's going to change?
As far as I know, that's the expected change. So in Amazon Seller Central, they have a complete Brexit guidance. So they have more information on that there.
Cool. Perfect.
Right. As well, that as this develops, we'll have a lot more information on our blog as well about how, specific details of how Quaderno will be updating and changing some of their processes based on the new information, both on our blog and in our support documentation. Should anybody need a expert or a guiding light moving forward on that end. So.
Makes a lot of sense. So let's talk for a little bit about the US sales tax and how that stuff works, because quite a lot of European sellers have, decent selling products, maybe in the UK, maybe in Italy and some other marketplaces. And it just makes sense for them to launch it in America as well. So, if a UK seller wants to sell in America, like what are some of the steps and some of the things they need to think about when it comes to American sales tax?
Yeah, well, in the US, it's a complete world of different taxes. So each state may have their own rules and regulations in terms of what registration what registration is required. And now many states do have these marketplace facilitator laws, which do allow Amazon, and it's something you probably see on the Amazon website, that Amazon collects and remits a sales tax, but that doesn't mean that maybe a foreign seller may have to register in the state. So it's important to keep in mind the volume that they're selling and maybe the number of transactions to a US state. And this is something that Quaderno keeps track of automatically as well.
So obviously this is something you'd probably have to ask an accountant first, just to get clear on specifically what your obligations are if you're a UK seller selling in America. But then obviously, if you can have some software to help track it, it just makes everything easier. So, I mean, in what way do you guys help track things and make it easier for people selling in America, people selling in Europe?
Yeah, so Amazon doesn't notify you when your business becomes liable for taxes in a new place, should that be some country in the EU, anywhere else across the world, or even in a certain state inside of the US, when you pass that tax registration threshold, right? You won't really know it unless you're keeping track of it yourself. One, the thresholds, meaning that you've done your research legally to understand what the thresholds are and what you need to be watching out for. And you're actually keeping track of your sales to know when you hit those thresholds, which, as you can imagine, it can be a big time suck for entrepreneurs. Not to mention just having another thing in the back of your mind that you're having to worry about at the end of each quarter. So what Quaderno does is they stay, we stay on top of the tax thresholds for you, and the app monitors your sales in each region and notifies you before you hit the limit. So you'll get a notification saying, hey, your business may become liable in this region or this tax jurisdiction. That way you have time to handle some of the legal things that you need to do. Or if you make a taxable sale in a brand new region that doesn't have a threshold, for example, that means you're immediately liable to register. Then we'll alert you and let you know that it's time to register as well. And then another big benefit of Quaderno is that we keep up with all of the new and the changes and the changes in thresholds or laws that happen. So you don't have to worry about that. We immediately update you with new rates or law changes in any country or tax jurisdiction. That way you can spend your valuable time working on your product, growing your business, and not reading articles and legal documents to make sure you're up to date.
Cool. And I mean, do you guys know what sort of invoicing obligations that Quaderno will help you with Amazon, and which things sellers need to be thinking about?
Yeah, so Quaderno is able to generate invoices for all Amazon FBA sales, and Quaderno can also automatically upload these to Amazon for you as well. So with Quaderno, you can automatically send invoices via email and upload them to Amazon too.
Cool. And that helps you keep there's like a score inside Amazon that tracks how quickly you're giving out invoices that you need to give out. So I guess that will help you manage that as well. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So I hear you guys have some kind of special Black Friday offer. So you just want to break down what that is to see maybe if people want to jump on it?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're interested in Quaderno during this week and for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we have a special offer. It's 50% off for your first 3 months of Quaderno, which depending on which plan you have is quite a big value, up to a $750 value. So to take advantage of this offer, it's really simple. You just go to Quaderno.io, and sign up for a 7-day free trial. You'll get 7 days to get in there, play around with the tool, connect it to Amazon, start playing around with it, and make sure that it's going to be something that's really valuable for you. And then once you decide to actually sign up or upgrade to a paid plan, you can use the discount code 50OFF. And I'm sure Ollie will make that available to you in the description or whatever. And you'll be able to get 50% off of your first 3 months using a paid plan in Quaderno.
Cool. All right, guys. So if you just check the description, you'll see the link. You'll also see that coupon code 50OFF. And then you can try out the software for 7 days, see if you need it yet, if it works for you, have a little trial, and then you can also get 50% off your first 3 months. And it could be something that makes your life a lot easier, especially if you're planning to expand into different marketplaces and continue to grow that way. So guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today and just getting into some of these not so exciting areas of the business, but necessary and important areas of the business. So guys, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for having us on, Ollie.
Awesome. And we'll catch up very soon.
See you soon.